what was your first visit like to LCS?
That would be in
At
the high school.
Yeah.
Meeting in the.
Or do you want to know about the very first meeting? Because our very first meeting was in Parchment
At the parsonage?
at the parsonage, and it was on
Ellesmere.
Ellesmere, right around from where Phyllis lives. There were 6 people at the first meeting, including besides Pastor and Millie, and there were 6 members. It was my husband and me, and Slaters, who had both passed away, and Burkhausen, Elaine and Merle were at the first meeting. And that was the beginning of it all.
I think some of my favorite memories is the different fellowship events we did. I remember going out to, what was that, Lloyd and Goings. We did some hay rides and square dancing and fun times like that.
I think when we started coming here, it was just being amongst a lot of people our own age, I think. Although there were older people, but we had a variety. And I enjoyed being, we were usually we went to Emmanuel, and that was your conventional church. The pews are all lined up. And when we came here and when they built this church, I love the surround. So you can see everybody instead of seeing the backs of everybody's heads. So that was one of the things that we really enjoyed. And just the fellowship, the people were very caring and close. So those were main things that we enjoyed. When we first started coming here, it was just my husband and myself, and we had our son. So since then, we had 2 daughters, and so they were baptized and confirmed here. Over the years, my parents have passed away, and so has Ed's. And the pastors here were, whoever was here at the time, I'm not sure who it was, but always provided the spiritual need that we had. And one of the pastors married one of our daughters. So we've had a lot of things that have gone on, and I've had the privilege of being a secretary to quite a few of the pastors that have been here. Pastor Kemper the longest, I think it was like 15 years. And and I'm still I'm still the secretary. So yeah, it's been a long time. But I just enjoy working with the people and being there for whatever I can do for them. I know a lot of people have left for various reasons, and why we've stayed, I think, is just the stability. We feel like as long as there's good people still here, and we like the pastors, we're going to stay. So that's why we're still here.
I just want to know what kind of impact that this church has had on your life.
Well, I wasn't, when I was younger, my parents did not go to any church. I never went to any Sunday school, didn't have anything to do with any church until I met my husband-to-be. And they were Lutherans through and through. And so when we got married, we were married in a Lutheran church, and I was not baptized or confirmed at that time. And I remember my mother-in-law saying, "When are you going to be baptized?" Or, so I did that at Emmanuel, and it's just made a big change in my life. The whole church. I mean, it was new to me, but I love coming to church and being a part of the whole church family and what we stand for and what we do.
The kids
They
were-
used to have we used to have lots of activities for adults, I think.
I
'Cause
remember
we
that,
did,
hay rides.
we did the progressive dinners. They were always interesting in the snowbanks and getting stuck and whatever. but
Progressive dinners.
Progressive dinner.
What's
Yes,
that?
those are fun.
You go
Oh.
from house to house, you have your main meal at one place, and then you go somewhere else and have
For
your
desserts.
desserts and,
You would have had
Yeah.
salad at
Appetizer.
or appetizers at a prior one.
Of course.
and I can remember a few with a little alcohol too. Maybe we shouldn't remember.
Yes.
Yeah.
Over the years, some of my favorite people have been members of this church. We've lost a lot of them, some of the elderly ladies that have passed away, but they were just like, I lost my mother at a really young age, and they were like mothers to me. They were so caring, and I think the people and our mission projects have been the highlight.
We just lived about 3 miles away over here by Myers. And when they first started building the church, I used to ride my bicycle over here and take pictures so we could see the progress of the church going on.
Oh,
And one time over here, I came by and they had a big bulldozer, and it was digging up all the footings that they had poured the day before. I said, what's going on? Well, it didn't meet code, so they had to dig it all up.
oh,
And they dug a big hole underneath right here and dumped all that concrete in there, and then had to pour new footings all the way around.
Oh.
Another time I came over, and they was drilling the well. I says, "What size well is that?" He says, "It's a 3-incher." I said, "I thought we were supposed to have a 4-inch well." Oh. Next day I came by and he's drilling a 4-inch well.
Oh, it was
Oh.
a good thing that you were keeping an eye on it.
And a third time I came
Oh,
by,
goodness.
they had the framing up, the studs and the rafters on the roof and everything. No siding or anything on it yet, but just a framework up. And that night we had a storm.
oh, you told me about that.
Oh, you remember that?
Oh,
I don't remember it, but I
I
remember you
know.
telling me about it.
Oh, all that stuff looked like broken up matches laying all over the place.
Oh.
It really did a number on it. Pastor Al came by about the same time I was over here. He says, "Wow." I said, "Yeah, wow is right." Well, this kind of reminds me of a hymn. He says, What do you mean, hymn?" I said, "Well, with all the stuff in here and the foundation problem, the well problem, and the wind blowing the place down," I said, "the church is one foundation."
Just one. Yeah,
I said,
not doing very good.
I think one of my favorite memories was when my third boy was baptized. It was a completion, so to speak. All 3 of them were baptized here. All 3 of them went through confirmation. So, been a happy time in that area. Well, I worked with the kids, and I loved that. They gave me a great help. I love the people in the area. They're all good people. I feel really privileged that I was able to help start the church. The building itself, I spent some time right here. I didn't do any work on it, but I spent some time watching it and documenting the procedures. Other than that, I just feel at home there.
Once you take over. Well, at the beginning, everybody was needed. You know, it's always been a very family orientated church, I feel. I was thinking of it today, and it's like, why do you like your church? Well, it's because it was always a giving church, accepting of everybody. I always felt very comfortable here.
Mm-hmm.
And people come and go, but it still seems like it still maintains that same feeling.
You don't want to think that the building is that important, But when you're there from the very first, the building does become important to you too. It's your home, it's your church home, and it's very familiar and comfortable. So I guess the building does become important in a way. Not as, of course, not as important as the people, but it's a sanctuary. It's a place you can go on Sunday and prepare for the next week with all your family and your church. The people in the church do become like family, and they go through the same things families do, the ups and the downs. And I think that it makes you stronger, just like within your own family. When you go through hard times, it brings you closer. And I think that's happened with our church too, with the people here, because they certainly are like family. Because I've been going through some difficult times in the last few months, and they've been so there for me. It's just, it's very comforting.
You remember that first year I helped you with Sunday school?
No.
No.
I had a lot of
You were
helpers over the years.
Oh, anyhow. We got a question from one little girl. Where do babies come from?
Really?
Yes, you did.
Did you help answer that?
No, I left it to you.
Was that the Christmas story or what was that?
I don't remember.
You just remember the question, you don't know how she answered it.
I don't remember the
But at that age, it would have to have been somebody like one of your girls or Karen or something that asked it.
I think back in the early days when we first were thinking about leaving the Missouri Synod, the discussions that were causing commotion in the Missouri Synod were really about biblical interpretation and such. And the discussions we had here were also about that, and besides the worries about leaving. But anyhow, and it caused me to be more open into how I see things in the Bible, and actually the realization that just because it says it in the Bible doesn't mean it's a fact. It just means that it's the truth. And there's a difference between truth and fact. Fact is this factually happened this way, and truth is this is telling you what is true about something. And so the ability to look at things in that way is one of the things I really impacted me. The fellowship, just the way everybody always has and still does look out for each other. Making sure that everybody's doing all right. We had one woman back in the early days who didn't drive. And so people took, and she lived a little ways away. She lived off of, I think it was off of Mazel Street, but the other side. And people would pick her up. Judy would need a ride today. Okay, it's my turn to get her, and people would just pick her up so that she could come to church. And so that kind of looking out for each other is something I've always enjoyed here.
How different would your life be if you never heard of this church,
It would be very different. I would still be at Zion. Nothing wrong with that. I still have a lot of family at Zion. But I would not have gotten as involved in things in the church. I would not have gone off to seminary because that would not have been an option. Therefore, I would not have lived in Minnesota. But I wouldn't realize what a church can be as far as caring for each other again, as far as just making sure, if someone so-and-so isn't here on a Sunday and they're normally here every week, you notice that. You'd never notice that in a big church. You'd never notice that maybe even if you sat in rows rather than in the round like we are here.
Yeah.
And so just things like that.
Yeah, it's just become our home, our home. And I can't even imagine going anyplace else.